think happy.
Hello random person, Sab Nino here. Lost media is everywhere. Since so much media is out there, and due to technology being less reliable in previous years, reasonably, media has a high chance of getting lost. SpongeBob is no stranger when it comes to lost media, from the uncensored cut of Sailor Mouth, Behind Closed Doors, SpongeBob Town, etc. But I want to dig even deeper. I want to talk about the very obscure stuff that nobody talks about. So here's the top 10 of the most obscure lost media I can find. Number 10. The SpongeBob SquarePants movie in CinemaScope. Every copy of the first SpongeBob movie is the standard 16:9, but there's some speculation that the movie might have been originally intended to be 2:35:1? I don't know how to say this, because in theaters they released a trailer that fit that aspect ratio. I know this is the case and not just a fan-made cropping, because there is extra information, plus the camera is shot with this screen size in mind. What I want to know is, if they originally planned to release the film this way, then why did they go through the extra effort to make it 16:9? Because I'm sure they had to paint over the backgrounds vertically to fit the aspect ratio. Since animation is such a lengthy process, I highly doubt they would have made the backgrounds extra large for the hell of it. I wonder if the film was originally going to be in CinemaScope, or if it was only for this trailer, because apparently movie trailers used to fit the movies that played after it, such as A Bug's Life. If it was originally intended for CinemaScope, I doubt it will ever surface, cause there's a huge chance that it was never finished. Plus, back in June of 2023, I watched the first movie in theaters for the very first time, and that had the normal aspect ratio. I'm putting this high solely because it might be lost, but it might have never been made to begin with. Either way, I thought it was interesting. Number 9. SpongeBob 4D, The Great Jelly Rescue, alternate scenes. The full ride itself is found and uploaded to YouTube. However, there are scenes that are still lost. I know for a fact because they used to show this movie every time I went to the Nickelodeon Suites Resort in Florida, and I've seen each of these scenes. In the ride, the Flying Dutchman banishes everyone to a room inside the ship. To keep the experience fresh, they would alternate between 3 rooms: the Disco Dance Club, a fondue party, and the only one found in full, the perfume department. All of these rooms started different, but Sandy and Dutchman's exchange stayed the same in each of the versions. The Disco Dance Club ending has the most footage, but it's super poor quality and unrelated footage put on top of it. And it blares Party Rock Anthem, which I know for a fact was not the song they played when I watched the ride, and I've seen it probably over 20 times. The fondue party has the least footage found, and I remember it having the weakest punchline of SpongeBob going, "It's so hot that it's scary." Eventually, I hope these alternate Dutchman scenes get found, but for now I suppose it's still cool to be able to watch one of the versions in full. Number 8. SpongeBob Subpants. Animated by the same people behind the last entry, Woody Garden's SpongeBob Subpants was an interactive experience where audiences explored Bikini Bottom. Similar to Talkin' Crush, Patrick would talk to guests and mess around, and figure out the submarine's next destination. Due to this, Bill Fagerbakke only voices Patrick in the pre-recorded footage, which is the first time to my knowledge where this has happened.
Can you do this?
At least it's Patrick and not SpongeBob, because if you watched my compilation of all the times SpongeBob wasn't voiced by Tom Kenny, you know that every voice is rough. You might be asking, if it's lost media, then how am I getting this footage? Because the only footage we have is a trailer announcing the experience. There is no footage of the full ride, and when I go to the Moody Gardens website, every mention of Subpants is gone, so I'm assuming it shut down. So unfortunately, unless somebody has recorded footage of this ride, it's most likely this will be lost forever. Number 7. The Sponge Who Could Fly, a new musical. Or I guess nowadays it would be the decade-old musical. The SpongeBob Musical is a cinematic masterpiece that fleshes out the characters in ways that the series could never do. It has beautiful handcrafted backdrops and costumes, plus the music is legit amazing. We're not talking about this musical. Instead, we're discussing the one that never set foot in the US. Around 2007, the world would be introduced to the Sponge Who Could Fly musical, inspired by the lost episode of the same name. It's pretty much what we expected from the new SpongeBob musical. Cheesy costumes only appealing to kids, and cringy music. I hate the SpongeBob costume so f***ing much. His design doesn't fit this style of costume, cause you either get this thing, or SpongeBob Squarenuts. And nobody wants to be SpongeBob Squarenuts. At least it got an upgrade in the Spain releases though. Right now, all we have is screenshots, the full soundtrack, and a few videos, most of them being in Spanish. However, I know at one point there was more. On the UK trailer, it linked to a website, nick.co.uk/SpongeBob Tour. As a kid, I used to go on a ton of foreign websites, and most of the time it gave me a virus. But I went on this website, and I know they had short clips that haven't been archived yet. There was video footage of the songs Luckiest Sponge, Ka-Ching, not to be confused with the Selling Out song, Flying Sponge, and Sandy Cheeks. There was also a flash game you can play for a contest where you catch jellyfish while flying in inflatable pants. Honestly, it's hard to say if the full musical will ever be found, because technology back then wasn't as accessible as it is now. Number 6. Nickelodeon Game Builder / SpongeBob Cartoon Creator. 6 and 5 are general Nick lost media, but SpongeBob is still a part of it. Around 2011, there was an online flash game called Nickelodeon Game Builder. It was pretty much Mario Maker Nick Edition. The shows you could make games for were SpongeBob, iCarly, The Penguins of Madagascar, Fanboy and Chum Chum, and Avatar The Last Airbender, the shitty one. They also had product tie-ins such as Danimals, Honey Nut Cheerios, and Lucky Charms. I've only played the SpongeBob one as a kid, which is unfortunate, cause that's the only footage we have. Other than that, all we have is a title screen and music for Fanboy and Chum Chum, and a single screenshot for Honey Nut Cheerios. Around the same time as this game, we had SpongeBob Cartoon Creator, not to be confused with the Flash game made in 2017. It was pretty much SpongeBob Tooncast Studios with less features, and no voice acting other than very limited text bubbles. Fun fact, this came out in other countries before the US, because I used to play it on the Netherlands version of Nick.com prior to it coming here. The only additions to the US version were a fish creator, the addition of JKL as a character you can include, and a bunch of backgrounds from the episode SpongeBob vs. the Big One, since that was a special they were promoting at the time. I'm not sure if any of these will be found, but maybe one of these days it can be put on Flashpoint. Number 5. Night of the Reanimated. Remember the Nicktoons Zombified search of 2022? That's not what I'm talking about. But while Bessie Higginbottom was giving 8-year-olds their first panic attack on Nicktoons, Nick.com had their own Halloween event. After Nicktropolis shut down, an online world called The Club took its place. And in 2011, they released an event called Night of the Reanimated. It was a game where 4 players could defend themselves in an enclosed space against popular 2010's Nicktoons abominations. The only footage we have is a screenshot of the SpongeBob boss and what the title screen looked like, which I actually included on my Nickelodeon Trauma video. So if you want to hear my personal story about this game and potentially more information on what I remember, check out that one. Number 4. Lost Mega Block Sets. As I've beaten into the ground on this channel, and say it with me now, LEGO has lost the rights to SpongeBob. So for a short period of time, Mega Bloks filled the void that LEGO left. I was a pretty big collector of these Mega Block sets, and I even still own some of them. There was one time my mom and I were looking at the new batch of Mega Block sets, and despite showing up on the website, there were many sets that we couldn't buy. And I feel like we weren't the only ones, because the sets I'm mentioning now have zero documentation online. Goofy Golf, Wacky Wrestling, Wacky Burgers, Squidward Dragster, and Sandy Rocket Racer. The only thing documented are the instructions, And sadly, since this isn't Lego, it's not really possible to make a replica due to custom pieces being made for these sets. Plus, Wacky Wrestling and Burgers are currently up on eBay, so I'm surprised there's no video documentation of them. I hope one of these days these sets get found somehow. But for now, at least we know a few of them exist. Number 3. SpongeBob Magazine. While the US had SpongeBob comics, the UK had Titan magazines, well, SpongeBob Magazine. It was a series of magazines themed all around... No, I'm not telling you, figure it out. It had trivia, it had crafts, it had sweepstakes, and other cool stuff like fan art. The series made over 100 issues, and a lot of the covers are well documented, but what isn't that documented are the insides. Unlike Nick Magazine, nobody has put these magazines on archive, and the only footage of the inside are cam rips, which is better than nothing, but it would be nice to have some high quality footage. Fun fact, this is where the trivia question, what is Squidward's occupation, came from? The answer is SpongeBob's personal slave. Number 2. German localized SpongeBob Big Birthday Blowout Ending and SpongeBob Summer Camp. I'm combining both of these since they're both from the same country. The German dub for SpongeBob used to be really good at localizing all of the text in the series. Then season 13 happened and they stopped that for some reason. What a shame. If you've seen my animated remake of the Big Birthday Blowout theme song, you'd know that a German dub exists. However, if you look it up online, the text is not localized. But around the time the episode premiered, it went on Nick D, and found a localized version of the ending. I tried looking for it on Archive, but I haven't found anything, since unfortunately I don't remember the exact day it was on the website. Here's something even more obscure. A SpongeBob Summer Camp. The only footage we have of it is this video of a live event at Harburger Haften Fest. This footage pisses me off since the logo is right there, but SpongeBob keeps covering it. Move out of the fucking way! You could have helped with history! All I see is SpongeBob Tour Abben's Camp. I tried looking up SpongeBob Svamkov Tour 2010 and added Camp into the mix, but it either shows other stuff titled Tour or confuses it with Camp Coral. But I know for a fact that I have seen more than this. As a kid, I ran into a commercial on YouTube for it where SpongeBob himself explains the event. Recently, another German piece of SpongeBob Lost Media was found, so that gives me a little bit of hope that this will get found if enough people care about it. Number 1. SpongeBob SquarePants DirecTV Game Lounge. Game Lounge was a gaming channel set up by DirecTV from 2007 to 2013. They had games that you could play with just your remote. Since this was so niche, and due to it shutting down, 90% of all of the games on the channel are lost media, with absolutely zero footage for most of them. They even had games based on some pretty recognizable IPs, such as Barbie, Avatar, and of course Splunga McGungum. They've made 3 games in particular: Bubble Buster, Friend or Foe, and Gets the Grill. According to Reddit, Bubble Buster is, well, a bubble game, but we don't know any specifics other than that. There's nothing known about Friend or Foe or Get the Grill. Perhaps Friend or Foe is a port of Trash Bash? It's very hard to guess what these games could be based on title alone. And when I look these up, I get 0 results. And don't even get me started on how impossible Friend or Foe is to search for in particular. Unfortunately, out of all the lost media on the list, this is most likely impossible to find. But who knows, maybe some shitty potato footage will resurface one day. And that was my list of obscure SpongeBob lost media. I never see anybody talk about most of these, so I thought it would be a fun idea to spread the word, and even help the lost media community a little. I could never embark on a lost media search myself. Trust me, I've tried, but maybe I've helped somebody more skilled at this sort of thing. Which piece of lost media is the most interesting to you? Which one would you like to have found first? Have you ever experienced any of this when it came out? Comment below. And as always, it's all Sab from here.